Coast. How are you all doing today? It is a wonderful, a fantastic, and a beautiful Monday, December the 23rd. Wow, December 23rd, 2018, guys. Hi, I'm excited today. I got my notes here. I have been talking about food addiction, and I have been doing Q&As, answering questions from some of my subscribers that posted on my comment box. And I have done articles, so you guys gotta check out all this information about food addictions, okay? But tonight, I want to get into this because I want to get this series board in front of you all tonight. So add to what is already been said. Check out all my videos. Go to my Facebook group page. Check out the articles on food addiction. Check out my videos on food addictions. Check out the Q&A, the questions that was asked as I answered them to the best of my knowledge by my viewers. So guys, I'm excited. Tonight, you know what I'm going to do? I got notes here. And I'm excited. Destiny is excited. It's looking good. Everything is beautiful. Guys, here we go. Let me tell you what we're going to talk about tonight. If you have food addiction or addictions, then you are falling into another ego trap. And y'all probably say, now, Destiny, what in the hell are you talking about? How can I fall into an ego trap if I got a food addiction? Then maybe that's a question you want to put in the comment box. I'll be glad to answer that question as well. So let's jump into this. I'm going to read off my notes and follow along. If you need to get your notebooks, your pens, your pads, your pencils, paper, or whatever, tape recorders, come on and walk with me through this series. Let's find out about food addictions. I'm going to be talking more and more about the different additives that is being put in foods by manufacturers and the producers. And I'm just going to pinpoint it all the way down as far as I can so I can open up your minds and your understanding on how dangerous we are living as we continue putting our trust in people to give us the foods that we eat. The best way to get our food is to grow it. To grow our foods, get out there, get you some land, grow your foods, and that is the only healthy way because you know exactly what you're fertilizing. You're not fertilizing your soil. You're not using GMOs, and you're not using all these chemicals and toxins. And then when your food is ready to eat, you eat it fresh from your garden. And that's it. Let's jump into this. If you have food addiction, then you're falling into another ego trap. I've done a video talking about the ego trap a few weeks ago, so you might want to check out that video. When people hear the word addiction, they immediately think of drugs, you're right? Yes, alcohol. Yes, cigarettes, porn, or that sort of thing. Okay, we all in agreement, right? But being addicted to food, watching TV, using your smartphones and your iPads and your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, or love, or spending money, or engaging in sports, spiritual shopping, all of these things can become an addiction as well. And there are so many more that we can think of, All of these are forms of addiction. And we all have a tendency to look for distractions if it stills the disquietment and the agitation within ourselves. Even if this distraction is an unpleasant one. You know what I'm saying? We still have that drive, that pull, that we still want to go close enough to touch it, enough so we can get something, some kind of feeling from it. Addiction, guys, it starts as a nice form of distraction, but becomes an enslaving habitual pattern. Addicted to habitual distractions bring us even further from where we want to be, which is at our inner peace, which is at love and being at that stillness of easiness. And we have forgotten who we really are. We have forgotten who we really are. So many times we allow so many things, so many distractions to pull us away from the place that the Creator God was driving us to, our higher and greater self. And we allow all the distractions to pull us into other things, and we got caught up into those things, putting more time and attention into things and people that we forgot who we were. Using something in the outside world to suppress the agitation that we feel is another way to escape the present moment. The noun is the portal through which you merge with yourself and with the stillness that you are. Ego traps tend to appear more so during moments of striving to become your higher and greater self, as you're coming into knowing your soul consciousness state of being. That's when you are unlocking the next level in your spiritual journey. Because that ego, at that point, when you're growing closer and closer to your higher and greater self, coming into your true identity and your purpose that the Creator had created for you to be on this planet, the ego knows that I am at a point or a place of losing this person, and I have manipulated and controlled this person all their lives, and I am not giving up like that. So the ego is going to fight. It's going to war with you. It's going to war with your consciousness, your soul consciousness, because the ego does not want to lose you or the control that it has over you. And when your soul consciousness fully awakens to bring you to your higher state of being, the ego will send everything it can to trigger your emotions, your hurts in the past, your pains in the past, all the things that kept you in your lower state of consciousness, in all the negativity. It's going to do everything to bring back all the most painful and horrible memories that you ever lived, so you will never make another step toward who you are. It can be easy to overvalue the impact that you are having on things. And we have such an impact on a lot of different things, including the foods that we eat. So we need to stay out of the ego traps, because the ego has already programmed and has already boxed us in into a whole life totally different from the life that the Creator God had created for us. And it's already programmed everything that the ego wants to keep us under that control, so we will never know who we are. And that ego is, like I said, tricky, dominant, forceful. But anyway, we want to stay out of the ego traps. It's a situation where you let your own inflated perception of yourself distort reality and negatively influence your behavior and your life's everyday performance. That's the ego. See, a lot of times we don't really understand who the ego is. The ego is us. It's our other side of us. It's our subconscious lower part of us. And it's that situation where we have let our own inflated perceptions of ourselves and of our life and who we are. We allow it to distort our reality. And then what we did, we negatively allow it to influence our behavior and our life and everything within our everyday performance. And even through our spiritual journey, we still bringing the ego along. We will not executing the ego. We are not putting the ego in check. We're not balancing out our lives with the ego. And we're not putting the ego to death. So think about that. It's all tied to as well as addictions. We become addicted to things. We are people that when we have something within our hands that we have been around a long time, we draw such a closeness and such an attachment, and we just like being attached to things. And we find that hard to let go of. Now, recovering from any kind of addiction is not an easy feat. No, you're going to battle some demons within you. They're going to war, they're going to fight. They're going to do everything to keep you there because they like steering you away from your higher, greater self, your most positive, beautiful, authentic self. They want to keep you down into that lower state of thinking that you will never be anything, never was anything, and never will amount to anything, and that you are totally, absolutely ignorant and stupid. And that's a lot of times we speak of those things of our own selves. And we program and create our world and our reality with the things that we allow to speak up out of our mouths, out from our ego, part of us. Recovering from any kind of addiction, I'm going to say that again, is not an easy feat. People who luckily do not go through it often wonder why addicts find it so difficult to control their urges for their addiction. But for them, walking away from their addiction and following the path to recovery may seem simple and uncomplicated. But one major factor that stops addicts from recovering from their addiction is their ego. And a lot of people may have never associated this addiction with your ego. The ego is in control of your whole entire being from the day that you were born. And like I said, even though we are out on our spiritual journey trying to grow to our greater and higher self, a lot of us has not let the ego go. When I'm saying letting it go, I mean you got to put the ego in its place. You got to come to a place to let the ego know I'm taking back my power. I'm taking back my control. I am in the driver's seat of my life. I am running my life. And you got to speak out through your throat chakra and your voice of who you are. And you got to let ego, I know who I am, and that you are no longer defined in me or my purpose. So you got to know that ego is attached to every part of us because the ego is you. It's your Lord self. So, walking away from their addiction and following the path to recovery may seem simple and uncomplicated at the same time. And one major factor, as I'm saying, that stops addicts from recovering from their addiction, and I'm going to say it again, I hope you get it. That one thing that stops us from recovering from an addiction is your ego. The dark night of the ego. A lot of people call it the dark night of the soul, but I call it the dark night of the ego, or the dark night of your unconsciousness being. And many people believe that drug addicts, they have a very low self-esteem and that they always think less of themselves. Ego. Say ego. Ego is it's in the driver's seat. Long as you allow it to keep steering your life, long as you allow it to take away your power and to step and stand out in your power, the ego is in control. The ego, however, is a completely different thing. It's totally different from a drug addict. It's totally different from addiction to maybe or alcoholic. But it has its control factors as well. That ego, it's been controlling you, me, and a whole lot of people at some point of their lives. They have been in control. But of course, it's hard to avoid something that you can't see. And that's exactly what makes the ego trap so dangerous because you're not seeing this. All you is running on with your life and you're running through different directions and paths and through your emotions and through your feelings and all those things, but your ego is pulling you, but because you can't see it and you don't know it's there, you're just falling and right directly into their path. So it is a very dangerous place. And it's hard to recognize when you're falling into an ego trap. Because, like I said, I didn't see it. I'm walking in that direction. I'm walking in this direction. And all of a sudden, I took a stumble. And I fell over. And I fell into something. And I know it hurt. But you didn't know what it was. You're falling into an ego trap. And that's very hard to recognize at times. It's very hard to recognize at all, really. You're just going to feel the effects as you continue to go deeper and deeper down within their ego, entangled in the web that it weave for you. Because why is so hard to recognize? By definition, let me say this. When you have an inflated ego, you're so incapable of objective self-reflection. You only see what you want to see. You only feel what makes you feel good. You only want to hear what sounds like sweet music to your very own ears. So let's answer this question. What is the ego? And you can drop your comments in the comment box below and share your definition of what the ego is to you. Please do that for Destiny. What is the ego? Now let me tell you, according to Sigmund Freud's personality structure, the ego is the organized part that includes perceptual, defensive, executive, and intellectual cognitive functions. That was deep. I like that. While conscious awareness resides in the ego for the most part, some operations are unconscious. The ego comprises a set of psychic functions such as planning, control, judgment, defense, tolerance, reality testing, intellectual processing, information synthesis, and memory, and there may be a whole lot of more on that list. The ego, in addition, has more to do with the conception or the, let me repeat that again, slow it down, Destiny, they want to get this. The ego in its addiction has more to do with the concept that the world revolves around me. Because like I said, that's the selfishness. That's the I part, the me. That's the part that's all about me, that selfish side of us. It is about the ideal that everyone else is a reflection of something better or worse than I am. Everything bad that happens is personally directed towards me, and everything good was meant for me. It's that me, that's that I part, that selfish part of us. That's the ego, that part that likes to be praised and put up on a pedestal and that likes to be seen and likes to be shown the lights all up against it, and they taking all the credit and the kudos for everything. That's your ego. That's you. That's the selfish part of you. That's the prideful part of you. That's the part you gotta kill. In your addiction recovery, these thoughts, all these thoughts about you being the best, is all about me. Everything in life is about me. I am the best. I am the greatest. Which it's okay. It's okay to see that, see yourself in that way. But I'm saying when you get to that point where your head just, just all blown over the place, and you have no sense of reality, check yourself. You'll know. But when all these thoughts tend to amplify so much so that no one else seems to matter. That's what I'm saying. When nobody else seems to matter, when nobody else is never will be greater than you and better than you and can do this better than you, it's all about you and you got all the answers, you know it all. That's your ego. It's an ego trap. You gotta watch that. And listen, a lot of overeating has a lot to do with your ego. And y'all may not know this, and I did not really know this until I really got into this study. And the creator is showing me a whole lot of different ways that the food addiction is as well. It's being programmed from a whole lot of different things, and it's onset by a whole lot of different things. Like I said before, the food addiction, and like I say, I truly know that it's the onset of the preservatives, the artificial sweetness, the food colorings, and the different chemicals and preservatives and things that is put within our foods as they preserve it for life shelf or for shipping and before they can go into the stores. And all those are chemicals and toxins, and those are additives, all those are drugs. And I know that, but now knowing that your ego, yes, I never thought of it in that way, but now I'm seeing it. The ego is probably your first accuser. You can accuse it first because it's always being manipulating and controlling our body. The ego, a lot of our overeating, all the foods and all the addictions that we are so sucked into has a lot to do with the ego. Because the ego state lives in a state of not enough. The need for more that is built into the ego, and it gets transferred into the body much more than the body wants. I'm in a place I'm lacking. A place is not enough. I need more and I need more. And that's what your ego is, always greedy. Always wanting more. So to eat consciously is the only way out of this kind of ego trap. You have to eat consciously. It breaks the ego's control of food, the food addiction, and it breaks the control of the ego that it has over you as well. Now, eating consciously also gives you an awareness of what you're eating and what ingredients that you are intaking when you're putting these foods in your body, and it will help you to program your mind with positive thoughts on eating a more healthier and nutritious diet. So you can be healthy, whole, wholesome, healed, and totally complete in your most nutritious way of living by the divine creator's plan. Addicted tendencies are very human, and you will see this once you start to understand how the ego operates. The ego is terrified to death of taking on the now. Because he knows if the ego steps up in the now, is consciously fully awakened. That's the moment that we are now living in our now. We are growing to our greater and higher conscious self. The ego don't want to step up in that now because it has controlled us all back in our past. That's when we were totally asleep. So sleep that we didn't even not know what life was. So The ego is terrified to death of taking on the now. This is the fear that you feel. The ego is like, no, I can't go no further in that now. I gotta take them back to their past where they were asleep, where I had the control and I was steering their lives. I had them so programmed they didn't even care. They were comfortable with me, leading them and guiding them into all their decisions and plans. But this is the fear that you feel. It's the ego is trying to pull you back and trying to withdraw and trying to keep you out of your now. Fear is exactly what makes you look for distractions. Fear is what makes you look for the escape routes. Fear is what makes you want to quit and run and hide. Fear makes you want to give up. Fear makes you want to still lay down with the ego every night and get up with it every morning and spend your whole day with it. All because of that false evidence appearing real, that fear. Everything is better than standing eye to eye with the now. And the ego does not want to stand up with our now. That's why you better stand up in your now. You better own your now. You better know who you are. And you better not step back into your past. Because the ego is back there waiting for you, but it's so afraid to step up in your now because now you are power. You are taking away your power and you're standing in your own power. Stand in your now. It is the fear of perishing. It is the fear of being completely overtaken with intensity and dissolving into the foundation of love. The ego don't want to come nowhere near those places. And the ego is saying, stop, no, don't go no further. Help. It's calling for all the help, for everything in the past that has kept you in your lower consciousness state. It's calling for them to help to pull you back. You better recognize who you are. You better recognize the power the Creator has in you. You better recognize your God conscious state of being, your higher, greater self, your beautiful, authentic self that God, your Creator, has created you to be. Stand up in your now. Your now is now. Live your now. And your ego will turn around and run the other way. It's calling for help, but you're not going to help it. It sounds like a paradox, but most of us don't even know that we are running away. You better keep running from that ego. Before we can comprehend this, before we can even let this even settle into our mind, we consciously follow the convulsions of the ego. And we got to detach that. We got to put in this place. We got to learn how to balance. We got to learn to let it know that we are in our own power now. And we're walking in our control. What not to forget is to be mild about yourself. Once you admit that you also have one or other form of addiction, or whatever these addictions may be in your life, hey, you own it. I mean, stand up to them. Call them out. Address them. And you let those addictions know, I'm stepping back into my power. I'm taking back my control. And that's the ego. You're snatching it away from the ego, your power, so you can control these addictions. You have to choose. And you have to choose safety, that place that's going to drive you to your place of your greater and higher self. Everyone has the tendency to try and escape the now. Don't do that. Step up in your now. Be you. Be your authentic self. Be your God conscious self. You are God. You got to know what the word of the Creator is saying about you. Go and grow into your higher conscious state of being. That's where you got to be. Don't fear your now. That now is your power. That now is your I am. And whatever you put behind the words I am, that is what you become. But make it your positive, your most positive state of forms of thinking and being. However, one type of addiction is more destructive than another. So we got to recognize all the addictions and we got to detach ourselves from them. It's about putting the ego out of the power and the control that we have given it. Every escape from the now makes you pliable, unhappy, no longer connected to yourself and no longer connected to your life. The ego will do everything it can to ensure its longevity. It's been controlling you all your entire life. It's not willing to give you up. It's gonna fight against you, and every time that you step into your greater higher power, it is not giving up like that. You're gonna have to fight, and you're gonna have to fight like hell. You had to fight dirty. The ego fights dirty, then you're gonna even fight more dirtier. You're gonna have to get down nasty. And you're going to have to war. And then you're going to have to allow your soul consciousness, your higher state of being, to have its way to snatch you up. And you're going to have to be totally willing to go with it in that now moment. The ego will do everything, I'm saying it again, that it can to ensure its longevity in your life, to hold you in that place of your past pains, your past hurts, not knowing who you are, your value, your gifts, your purpose, and all those different things. That's how the ego has been programmed to do, because you went along with it, because that ego is you. And you allow yourself to be programmed, so automatically you really actually programmed yourself because you came in agreement with everything that your ego said that you were. So be alert and be consciously enough aware of your ego so as not to be tricked into assenting or agreeing with it. Let it go, shut it down, take away your power, stand up in your throne, and you let you know these addictions that you may have formed in my life, it has no power over me. So we'll continue to pick up on more things and as we go along in the series. And in the meantime, I'm out of here for tonight. Check out these videos that I've been doing and these articles that I've been doing on your food addiction. And if any information, drop them in the comment box so you can be able to help shed some light on the path that the Creator God is having me to be able to bring this information. In the meantime, namaste, and guys, I'm going to see you at the next video. Good night and have a wonderful evening.